Hello and welcome to the Wonder Women series of the Maker Mom podcast. My name is Katie Freeman and I am your host. Every week I bring you 2 interviews of female and non-binary makers of all kinds, some of them parents, some of them not. This week's guest is Kim of MadeMod. Kim has been running MadeMod for a few years now, along with her other business, a Muay Thai gym. So we talk about both businesses in the interview, and really interesting getting her perspective of getting started in a business around, creating functional pieces for people's homes. Before we hop into the interview, I want to give a big shout out and thanks to the patrons over on Patreon. So thanks so much. Kevin, Lefty's Woodshop, Christy, Twisted Twine, Christina B, Jeremy Speece, Sammy, Go Sammy Lee, Lauren, Rasp File Designs, Sven, Dwarf Size Workshop, Rachel Moody Makes, Bonnie, Tool Mom Bonnie, ToolMomStore.com, Laura Oakley Soap Company, Mary Lou Made by Mary Lou, Amy Bison Valley Carving, Dan and Kelly Reclaim Living Store, Brandy Studio Obey, Kathy One Girl and Her Tools, Ellen Little Bear Furniture, and Ethan Carter Designs. Thank you all so very much for your ongoing and continued support, helping me to produce 2 episodes a week, every week. And with no further ado, here is Kim with MadeMod.
Okay, great. Well, as far as intros go, they're always kind of awkward, right? Because I don't like to talk about myself, but some people do. But I'm Kim. I live in Virginia Beach, and I am a small business owner. I actually have 2 businesses. My first business is a Muay Thai gym, and my second business is MadeMod. So I specialize in modern woodworking and carpentry. Yeah.
So, Muay Thai gym. That is super intriguing.
Yeah, long story. So I started training Muay Thai probably, I think it's going to be, it was just like 7 years, 7 years ago. And my partner at the time, we were training together, and I was fighting, and we were in Iowa at a tournament. I wasn't fighting in the tournament, but I was helping with the fighters that we did have at the tournament. And while we were there in Iowa for the weekend, the gym that we were training out of just closed. We were like, yeah, sorry. They didn't tell us. They just locked the doors, and all the furniture is like removed, and we had no idea. So on the flight home from Iowa, we were just thinking like, what the hell are we gonna do? So we just ended up opening a gym. And so that was my first real foray into business ownership. And that was in 2015. So
awesome.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Crazy that you were in Iowa for that, because that's where I am, is Iowa.
Yeah, we're in Des Moines.
You were in Des Moines? Okay. Yeah. I'm in the Iowa City area, so it's about almost 2 hours east of Des Moines. Oh, nice. But yeah, like Iowa is not the place that you think of for for that type of training.
No, it's not. There's a big tournament in Iowa. I'm not sure why it's in Iowa. I think maybe because it's like for the center of the country, so people can all meet there. But every year it's there in Des Moines, and so we were there that year. Random, I know.
Random, totally random. Yeah, I have like maybe like 1% experience in it. Like way back in the day, I did about 3 years of mixed martial arts training.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would say you have more than a 1% knowledge of Muay Thai then.
It was super fun. I was like the only girl in the class, and it was kind of fun to get to like, beat up some other guys, but
Yes. I do like punching a man, I will say.
So before we get into the making, I'm still intrigued by this.
Sure.
So is
Yeah.
is like the gym still open with COVID and all that stuff
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when everything first happened and everything shut down, we were closed for about 3 months. And so we were doing Zoom classes, which is not fun when you are used to being in person and doing fitness classes, especially with Muay Thai. Like it's not like yoga where you can guide somebody through a sequence and is very adaptable to Zoom, but like Muay Thai, it's very hands-on and you have to be there with somebody seeing what they're doing so you can make corrections. But, we did the best that we could and we were doing Zoom classes twice a week. And luckily we have a great community. So people were paying their memberships even though the gym wasn't open. And so we were able to survive because I think they realized that if they weren't paying tuition, there was going to be no gym to come back to. So, luckily we survived and we're on the other side of things now and still kind of touch and go with everything that's going on. And we're trying to be as diligent and clean as possible. And, but yeah, it's been doing really well. We've been open for 5 years. And so it's an adventure. Yeah. I think adventure is a good word. I think now that I'm this far removed, like 5 years out, I can say that it's an adventure and not like a complete headache.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay. So now I'll take a step back and ask what I typically ask as like one of the first questions, which is where'd you grow up and what kind of things were you like interested in as a kid?
Yeah. So I grew up in Hampton Roads. So Virginia Beach is about 20 minutes from where I grew up in Chesapeake. And so I was actually born in Rhode Island. My dad was in the Navy. We moved down to Virginia Beach when I was, I think, like 3. And then we moved out to Chesapeake when I was 5. And I pretty much grew up there and then moved back out to the beach a couple years ago. So yeah, I'm from here. In school, I was your typical like athlete. I wouldn't consider myself a jock, that kind of like stereotype, but I've always loved to be active and I've loved sports. And that's kind of where my interest in Muay Thai came, was after I graduated from graduated from college. I just didn't really have anything to do like sport wise. So I picked that up, but yeah, lots of sports, very much scientific minded. And I get a kitty.
Yes. Okay.
My pup is downstairs. I told her that she couldn't bother me while I was doing this.
Oh, the kittens will definitely bother me. I've just accepted it.
You learn to
roll with
it. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so very science minded. I never really thought I was like an artistic type or creative type. I didn't really realize that creativity means so many things. And so I thought, well, I can't paint. I can't really draw. Like that means that I'm not artistic. I'm not creative. And I shouldn't really focus on any of those kinds of things. And so I was very much like, science and English, oddly, not math because, well.
So what'd you go to college for? What'd you graduate with?
I went to Old Dominion University in Norfolk and I went for exercise science. So I graduated with a BS in that and started working in physical therapy right afterwards. So yeah, I was in a completely different world prior to what I'm doing now, which is interesting. But yeah, I worked in physical therapy for, I think that's 6 years. And then while I was working in PT, I started the gym and then I was still working in PT and then ended up opening MadeMod. And then I was just too overwhelmed and quit my full time. And I'll apologize in advance. There's lots of jets that fly over because I'm in between 2 naval bases. So yeah, you're just gonna hear jet noise constantly. It's like my life.
That's okay. I lived for almost 5 years in northern San Diego County. So we had Camp Pendleton and then like Blue Angels and everything. So I'm used to like the
so you get it.
I get it.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny thing out here at the beach is people will be talking outside or whatever and a jet flies overhead and you pause and then you continue with the conversation. Exactly. It's just like an unwritten rule that you never try to shout over the jet because it's just impossible.
Yes. So what brought about MadeMod? I mean, did you have any previous experience with like woodworking, carpentry before getting into it?
Yeah, I am. So A little bit. I mean, I've always been a DIYer. I kind of grew up watching my parents DIY everything. So that was always on the forefront of my mind. I was always seeing things being made instead of being bought. And so I think growing up, the phrase, I'm not going to buy that, I can make that, kind of just nestled itself into my brain, has never left. So my paternal grandfather, whom I didn't meet, was actually a carpenter. And he taught my dad a lot. They used to work on projects together. I think that it was mostly an amicable relationship work-wise between them. But from what I understand, my dad did a lot of the work and my grandpa was, World War II vet, kind of just, drinking. So, yes. So my dad learned a lot from him. And while my dad didn't really teach me how to do anything, I was always around him building. So I was always watching him build the deck. I'd be out there like 7 years old, like, can I help you build the deck? And he's like, no. So he would just give me scrap wood and some hammer and nails and just like shove me to the side and let me just like bang nails into some wood. And so I have always been used to working with my hands and creating in that way, in that sense. And I have DIY'd like, just home decor items and furniture since I was younger, but I didn't really get into actual building until it's probably like 3 years ago this past Christmas. My dad got me a circular saw for Christmas because that's what I requested, because why not? I had just moved into this place and I wanted to build some furniture and needed a saw. So I got my circular saw 3 or 4 years ago, and then kind of just been teaching myself along the way and experimenting. And Pinterest is a great resource and YouTube is a great resource. So it's kind of like, if you have the time, if you have materials, then you really can learn how to do anything. So, but how I got started with the business in general. So I am a big plant person. So I have plants all over my house and was looking for a way to store them or to display them and kind of get them off the floor and off of whatever they were and kind of put them all in one place. And I was looking on Pinterest for just really unique shelving things. DIY, of course, because I'm not going to buy that. I can make that. So I saw a lot of inspiration for pegboards and things, and I was like, that is so cool. I can move things around. It's very modular. It seems pretty easy. I have all the equipment. I have this scrap piece of wood left over from the bed that I just built, so like it's perfect. So I made a pegboard and just ended up putting on my personal Instagram, and people freaked out. So I first of all, it was kind of weird. I was like, it's just a shelf. Like I drilled some holes in this piece of wood. It's fine. But people loved it. And my friend Alina, she saw it and she immediately messaged me and was like, you need to put this on Etsy like now. And I was like, what, are you sure? Will people buy this? Like, is this something that people are interested in? And she's like, yes, just do it. If you don't sell any, fine. But yeah, I did that. I put my stuff on Etsy February 2018. And here we are almost 3 years later.
All right.
It's my full-time job.
It's your full-time job. So, okay. And I was going to say, like, yeah, when going through your Instagram feed, it's like, I saw some other projects outside of pegboards, but it's predominantly pegboards you're making, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's kind of what I like broke out into the scene with and what was known for. And I'm still love to do that, but I also like to do other things. And so it's been nice to break up the monotony of drilling millions of holes to kind of build some other functional pieces, which has been nice.
So and I've kind of seen, actually, it seems like it's getting really, I guess, hot, the modular pegboard thing. Like I've seen maybe it's just all the like AI reading my brain, because once I discovered your account, like all of a sudden, like I saw other like DIYers and makers like really kind of getting into making those. I fear of them because as you see, I've got two cats. And so I'm like, I'm looking at your shelves behind you going, they would jump on that and that shelf would go rolling off. And would not be a good scene.
You can there are ways to secure the shelves to the pegboard. So if if you needed to, that's definitely a way. But not great for cats. They do like to climb things, don't they?
They do like to climb things. Yes, they do.
That's why I feel like I'm a cat sometimes. If I were between a cat and a dog, I really feel like I'm a cat. I love dogs, but I feel like I'm a cat,
Yeah.
like a big cat.
Yeah. My wife and I always say when we die, we want to come back as cats. Like just the life of a cat seems so appealing.
Seriously. Glorious.
Exactly.
Or a dog, really.
Yeah.
Come back as my dog. She's so spoiled.
Yeah, we also say that. It's like, okay, come back as a cat, preferably in a gay home because you get spoiled to death. Okay, so what things are you breaking into outside of the mod board, the pegboards?
Yeah, so I've been doing I've mostly carpentry, but some other furniture working too. I've been doing like wainscoting entryways and some built-in. I did a built-in bench with cases. I've done built-in dining nooks. I've done like little kitchen nooks and dining nooks. I've done cabinetry for a local business here in Virginia Beach called North End Bag Company. They make really awesome leather and canvas bags, and so I was fortunate to team up with them and create some storage for them. But yeah, it's just really, honestly, people come to me and go, I kind of like this. Can you make it? And I'm like, yeah, I can make it. Baby gates, really modern. Baby gates were really popular for a little while there. Yeah, just like honestly the most random things, and I love it.
So like how are you growing your business? Like where are you getting clients from?
So the great thing about Etsy is they do have a marketplace kind of baked right in. So they have a community there, and there's lots of people on Etsy already, so they can see my things and find me through there. But honestly, my social media has been really fundamental in growing my business and getting more exposure and kind of getting my stuff out there. So I think that a lot of emphasis on social media. I mean, social media, it's not my favorite thing in the world, but it's kind of like one of those necessary evils, The thing with social media is you find what you're looking for. So if you're looking for great, wholesome, inspirational, motivational items, they're there and it's great. And I've found so many wonderful people through the platform that believe in the same things that I do, and maybe not even believe the same things that I do, but we can come together at least in a way that's wholesome. But if you're looking for trash, there's trash there too. But yeah, social media, all that aside, my opinion on social media aside, it's been really great in helping me grow my business and get more exposure. And I mean, it really builds your know, like, trust factor, right? And so when somebody is trying to decide, okay, well, there's X amount of people that make these pegboards, how am I going to decide who to go to aside from pictures, aside from reviews? Like, who do I trust? Who do I know? And who do I want to give my money to? And that's been, something that I've been thinking about a lot when it comes to social media, because that's how people get to know you. That's how people see the process. That's how people connect with you. And especially now, there's an emphasis on handmade items, one-of-a-kind items, kind of supporting locally and not just spending your money on mass-produced items, which has been, the majority of people's lives for the past, forever, right?
Couple hundred years, yeah.
Yeah. So like once people were able to mass produce things and make lots of items and sell them cheaply, people are like, oh, hell yeah, I'm not trying to spend a bunch of money on something that I can buy that's not mass produced. But I think now we're kind of having circling back to that idea of, small businesses and really propping up the economy, our local economy, and really focusing on how far our dollars go, where it goes, and what message we're sending when we're spending our money on in these certain areas. So social media has really helped people get to know me, people get to know my product and see what I'm doing, what I'm making, and it's a privilege to be able to share these things with people. And I think social media is a great way for me to be able to do that.
Makers. Today's episode is brought to you by toolmomstore.com. Tool Mom and Company is for all ages, genders. They have what you need for your one-stop tool-related merchandise of gifts and clothing. The products are fun, fashionable, one of a kind. In fact, I have two of the mugs. One has a circular saw with flames coming off of it and says "Go Girl." Another one has the definition of a tool chick. Both of them are super awesome, and I have coffee out of them almost every morning. So check out toolmomstore.com or find them on Instagram at toolmombonnie. You can receive an extra 20% off at checkout by using the code MAKERMOM.
Cool.
I mean, with your Muay Thai business and now MadeMod, like, how'd you learn all of this stuff about making, creating, running a business?
Oh, so many hours on Google. Like, dead honest. I mean, when I opened the gym, I was 26 years old. You know, I was working full-time in physical therapy and was just kind of like doing whatever I could to get by. And so, yeah, I mean, I didn't know a lot of small business owners at the time. Honestly, I don't think I knew any small business owners at the time. And I didn't have any resources. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know who to look up to. I didn't know who to talk to. And so, yeah, Google became my best friend. And there are a lot of resources on how to open businesses on Google. But now that I've been in business for a little bit, I've really met a lot of people in small business, and especially in the community that I live in here in Virginia Beach. I live in the creative district. It's like the arts district. So there's lots of little small businesses around here and lots of really creative minded people in this area. And so I've really been able to connect with a lot of small business owners. And so now I have, you know, a little community inside this community that I can lean on if I need to. But before that, I mean, it was just, sleepless nights of Google rabbit holes and trial and error, honestly. Opening a brick and mortar as my first business really, really helped when it came to opening MadeMod, because everything's online for the most part. So it was simple. But when I first opened the gym, it was wild. Katie, I'll tell you, it was wild. It was a wild, wild west. But the thing that I knew was that we had a good product. We had a good product, and we had a team already, and we had people that were with us already. So it made it a little bit easier transitioning into that. But yeah, lots of tears, lots of worrying, but and lots of Googling. Sure.
Yeah, Google is my best friend a lot. I have to, but I have to ask, like, there definitely is a thing. You know, there are plenty of people out there in the world who have an idea and want to, you know, think, okay, this would be a good small business. And then once they start like researching it, they stop. Like, so I feel like there's definitely something in a person who goes forward with it of like, you know, you didn't stop, you kept going, even though like you were doing stuff you've never done before or, you know, had no background knowledge in. So like, was there a level of excitement just around figuring out the business aspect of it?
Absolutely. Me personally, I am a lifelong student. I love learning, and anything that piques my interest, I dive 100% in, and I want to know everything there is that makes this thing work. So for me, when I started getting into my research about business ownership and all that stuff, I mean, yeah, it was daunting and yeah, it was scary, but I'm also the kind of person who hates being told what to do. And so I've never really liked working for anybody else. I'll do it, and I'm a great team player, and you know, it's fine. I'm a great employee, but that was never, I always kind of knew that was never how my whole life was going to go. I just can't, I have too many opinions, too many ideas of how things should go. And I'm too particular to work for anybody else but myself. So I was going into this whole process knowing, well, this could be my this could be my ticket. This could be how I support myself without having to work for somebody else. And so I think I was really putting all of my energy into it. And I'm a little bit militant when it comes to goals. Like if I want to do something, I'm putting all my energy into it and it's going to happen. Not everybody is like that, and not everybody wants to be like that, which is great because it's exhausting. But I also kind of didn't really have a choice because we had this stable of fighters that needed to go somewhere. And if we didn't open this gym, then we were going to lose all of it, and then we would have nothing. So it was August when the tournament started. No, it was July when we were in Iowa in the tournament. And by the end of August, we'd had a gym. So, I mean, we opened up so quickly, mostly because we didn't have a choice. I was kind of backed into a corner, and I'm a fighter, right? So if I'm backed into a corner, I'm punching out. So yeah, I knew that I really believed in my partner. I really knew that he could make it a success. I believed in his skills. I believed in his training. I believed in his everything when it comes to Muay Thai. And I knew that I could back up the business end, and I knew that I could handle the hard stuff, and I could handle all of that as long as he was free to do whatever he needed to do to build the gym and to bring more people in. Then I was fine doing that. But yeah, it's definitely daunting. It's definitely not something that I would recommend for everybody. It honestly does take a different kind of person to want to open businesses and operate them in, any kind of entrepreneurial endeavor. But yeah, I don't know. I've just always been kind of a go-getter, and a little, like I said, militant about goals. When it's for me, it's for, yeah.
When it comes to MadeMod, are you a one-woman show?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, technically, yes. It's just me, but I do hire some help. So I have my friend Alex that works with me part-time, and she's just in there just helping me crank stuff out. So, but besides that, yeah, it's just me. I mean, I do everything. I'm the one building. I'm the one that's on social media. I'm the one doing all the accounting. I'm doing all the online shop stuff. So yeah, it's me doing everything, and then the gym on the side as well.
So how are you running two businesses at once?
Well, luckily my ex-partner, Jose, the one that I have the gym with, he's there every day. That's his full-time job. So he's in the gym, he's taking care of that. We have somebody at the desk that's helping out. So I don't have to be there all the time, which has been hugely helpful because I was doing MadeMod work all day and then running to the gym at night to try to, be there for him to handle front desk stuff and everything like that. And so that also cut into my training. I wasn't ever able to train. So how do I run two? I don't have a choice. No, it's been a challenge trying to balance the two and then also preserve my sanity and like my free time. Those two things were not existent probably this time last year, honestly, sanity or my free time. But yeah, it's been it's been better. A lot of help and a lot of patience, a lot of understanding. I mean, and just like grinding, honestly, just like so much grinding. But the great thing about MadeMod is that because everything is online, there isn't a brick and mortar that I have to keep up with. There isn't like all those overhead costs and all of those other things, working parts that you have to think about. It's just me in the workshop and online. That's it. That's all I have to worry about is those two things really. And yeah, I think I found a really good balance right now. I can't do all the things that I want to do, and there are so many things in the gym that I want to do, and like all these visions that I have for how it could be, and expanding and what that means for us. And I'm kind of not necessarily like not dreaming about that anymore. It's just that I know that it's not going to probably happen on my timeline in the way that I am envisioning. And that's okay because MadeMod is where my passion really lies. And so it's been really helpful for me to have MadeMod to put those energies into, and then kind of the gym, let it do its own thing. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't need me to have a hand in everything for it to be operational. So it's been good for both my sanity and for the business to kind of step away from the gym just a little bit. Like I still do the accounting, I still do the bookkeeping, and I still do all the ordering, purchasing, and all that stuff. But I can do all of that at home on my laptop, which is nice. But kind of taking some space from the gym and moving my focus more towards MadeMod has really helped me expand and really helped me prioritize when it comes to business and when it comes to free time, because I mean, we know that rest is important. It's vital, you know, and for the longest time there was no rest. And so I felt burnt out. I mean, gosh, I was so burnt out. And yeah, it's a real thing.
So workshop space, where is your workshop space for making?
So my workshop space is actually in my dad and his wife's detached garage. So it's great. I mean, it's about a 40-minute drive from where I live, which sucks, but like, you know, I don't have to pay for the space. So it's been great. He it's a two-floor detached garage. He has like a little bar up on the second floor. That it's like a little bar, and then I have like all my packaging materials and my boxes of like other. I've kind of like taken over the whole space, and I feel a little bit bad, but it's been working for me well. I have wildly outgrown it, and so I have been looking at other spaces because I just need. It's so nice to have that space for free, and I feel so blessed to be able to have that and grateful, but I have nowhere to put anything, and I have to work around all of the pre-existing things inside of the garage. Like I don't know if you've seen some of the pictures on Instagram, but there's like Barbie Jeeps just like in the way all the time. I'm just like, get these Barbie Jeeps out of my workshop. But you know, neither here nor there. They're just covered in sawdust now, so whatever.
They could make a decent like sawhorse, you know, just put the wood on top.
Yeah. We can figure out something, right?
That's right.
But yeah, so I'm looking to expand because I am kind of outgrowing that space and would like to have something that's a little bit closer to home.
I understand that. My workshop space is a garage, somebody else's 2-car garage that I rent. And it's about a 20-minute drive for me.
That sounds so nice.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's about a 20-minute drive, and there are times where I hate that, you know, because it's like, if it was just outside my door, like that's 20 minutes I gain back of like work time. But then there's times that I really appreciate it because it's like, oh no, then it feels like, no, I'm going to work, like, because I'm leaving the house, right? You know, like going. So
exactly. When I first started making pegboards, I was doing it in my backyard in my townhouse. So it was like rain or shine, baby. Days or nights and weekends, I was out in the backyard drilling holes like under a pop-up tent. I mean, it was bare bones. So I mean, I feel that totally. It's like I could just go right outside and work, but that also meant that my partner at the time could come outside and bother me whenever he wanted to. Exactly. And so, yeah, it's nice to actually be able to leave the house and go into work. But some days I really could use that extra 40 minutes to get some stuff done.
Yeah, exactly. Are you still okay? So the biggest question on my mind as I'm staring at the pegboard behind you is: are you drilling all of those holes?
Yes.
Individually with a hand drill?
Yes.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not the easiest way to do things. You know, I have a drill press. I don't use it for this purpose because I think the whole point of like hand making these items and these pegboards is that I'm literally touching every inch of the surface with my hands. I mean, I'm drilling each individual hole. I'm cutting every piece of plywood you see is cut by me, is sanded by me, is drilled by me. And so like every single thing that you see on there has been created by me and made by me, which is, I think, is the whole point, right? I mean, if you're going to be giving this whole idea of a handmade object or whatever, like I think most of it should be handmade, right? Isn't that the whole purpose? So I will tell you that when I first started making these, my holes were a little bit wonky. They weren't quite perpendicular when I was drilling them in, and there was a lot of learning that happened.
Well, that's,
so a drill press in that sense, would have made it easier, but
yes and no. I mean, looking at the size of the plywood, like a drill press just doesn't work in that context. You can't get to everything.
You certainly cannot.
Do you have like jigs set up and stuff now to help? Like,
I have a template that I use over top. So I have a template that has the holes pre-drilled, so I don't have to like measure and mark every single pegboard, because dear Lord, that would take forever. So I have a template, but then I just have like a perpendicular jig that's just two 2x4s and like some plywood. So I have something that helps me keep everything perpendicular and straight. It's funny because I've been doing this for almost 3 years now, and so every 6 months or so, I kind of tweak something. I'm like, oh, that makes this so much easier, so much more efficient, so much faster. And why didn't I think of this before? And it's funny because even though I've been doing this for so long, like I'm still learning, I'm still implementing new things, and I'm still learning how to make things easier on me. And it's really interesting, especially bringing on Alex to help me. I mean, she's great. Like she picks things up super quickly, and we problem solve really well together. And so I'll have a problem and I'm like, God, Alex, I can't figure this out. And she goes, oh, what if we try it this way? And it's just really nice to be able to have that second perspective. And so, everything is such a learning experience. And like I said, I'm a lifelong learner. And so this has been great. This is nerdy. I just love knowledge. I just love, I just love information. More of it, the better.
Hey makers, I want to tell you a little bit about today's episode's sponsor, Athena Outfitters. So when I'm in the market for a new pair of work boots, I do a ton of research, make sure I'm getting something that's going to fit right and going to last. Well, Athena Outfitters is a quality workwear brand for hardworking women that has tons of experience with footwear. They've taken the time to select the very best shoes and boots made by each of the most reliable footwear brands. And when I shop at Athena Outfitters' site, it saves me time and energy because I trust that they found the best shoes for every job and activity. Plus bonus, you can shop online. So next time you need new work boots or some other type of high performance shoe, check out AthenaOutfitters.com, gear with grit, and Athena is ATHENA, and then outfitters.com. You can also get a special discount at checkout by using the coupon code MM, that's capital M 15 for 15% off any purchase, just because you're a listener of the podcast. All right, let's hop back into the episode. I wholeheartedly agree, and I think most people in the maker space would agree also. That's like one of the biggest draws to it, right? Is like constantly getting to learn something.
And then producing something and holding it in your hands and going, oh my God, I made this. Isn't amazing? the best feeling, right? Actually, I think the best feeling is when somebody comes over and sees like the dining table that I made, or like something else in the house that I made, and they're like, oh, this is so cool. Where did you get this? I'm like, oh, I made it. It's like the best. It's the best feeling. You know what I mean? I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's such a cool. And I think for me too, I've always been a tomboy growing up, and so I've always been rough and tumble and really involved in sports, and had a lot of guy friends, and I've always just wanted to destigmatize gender roles. You know what I mean? Like I hate that women aren't supposed to build, and I hate that women aren't supposed to be fighters, and I hate that we have all of these things that we're not supposed to be, that we're not supposed to do. Like I also surf, and I love doing activities in sports that are more male gendered, because I'm breaking molds, baby. I don't have time for this stuff. Like I don't understand why everything has to be gendered. And so I don't know that I purposely seek things out that way. It's probably a subconscious thing, but I've always, you know, wanted to get involved in something that was, you know, not very stereotypical of a woman, and to succeed in that, and to, like, you know, garner the recognition from people has been really cool. And kind of, if I can be an example to anybody else, it's like, just do it, man. You know, like, just get, I know that there's a confidence thing there, and a knowledge thing there. And if people don't feel like they have the confidence or the knowledge, that they're not really going to delve into something new. But I just have always felt like if it scares you, then you're doing it. You know, you're doing it right. You're going in the right direction, because we need that fear, and we need to be able to persevere through those obstacles to come out on the other side a little bit stronger, a little bit tougher, a little more knowledgeable. And yeah, I'm not really sure. I feel like I'm just rambling now, but what point was I trying to make?
Well, I mean, that it works out perfectly for me in this rambling segment, because I was going to ask is like both businesses that you run are still, I mean, yes, I see more and more women getting into, you know, specifically like the woodworking space, but they're still predominantly male dominated. Yeah, it's male dominated. So besides the like drive to like succeed there, I mean, has there been, what's your experience in those spaces been like?
Well, I've always kind of lived my life by the idea that you want to be underestimated. And luckily for me, you know, I'm like a 5'3" Filipino woman. So like people tend to underestimate me. But for the most part, it's been okay. Like in the woodworking realm, it's been all right. But I'll tell you, when I'm at Home Depot and I'm just doing my thing and like looking at materials and just pushing my cart around, I can't tell you how many times a man is like, oh, do you need some help? That's so nice to ask. But also, like, if I tell you no, don't like ask me again, right, and like keep asking me. I remember this one time I was like, I had just loaded my truck up with like 7 sheets of plywood, and this guy had pulled up his car and like stopped and was talking about the window. I was like, do you need any help? And I was like, does it look like I need help? I just loaded everything into my car myself. Like, why are you? And I said, I honestly said, does it look like I need help? And he said, yeah. And I said, yeah, I don't need help, but thank you so much. And he just like drove away. But I mean, there have been times when men just feel the need to provide their expertise. And I'm like, you honestly probably know less about this than I do. So I really don't need your help. Didn't ask for it. Don't want it. I know maybe you're just trying to come on to me, or you're interested because you find me attractive or whatever, but like, it's so frustrating. Can I just like go to Home Depot once without having a sex experience? Please, God, please. But in terms of like the spaces that I occupy in like the Muay Thai community, yeah, it's been great. I mean, there are a lot of like Muay Thai fighters that are women now. And like, I find that if you can spar with a dude and then beat the shit out of him, he usually doesn't have very much to say, you know? So that's kind of it, right? If you talk big noise but you can't back it up, and we have an issue there. But if you talk big noise and you can back it up, then dudes tend to leave you alone. I mean, and it's same with like surfing. I've been surfing since I was 14, and I think probably like 80% of the time I'm the only woman in the water if I am not surfing with a friend that came with me. But that's been changing recently. But you know, a dude will see you out in the water and paddle right over to your spot because he thinks, oh, she's a chick, she's not gonna catch any waves. I'm like, oh, here we go again. So now I have to be like super aggressive and like actually prove myself, which is stupid. How come we have to prove ourselves? How come we can't just be given you know, the benefit of a doubt? But anyway, patriarchy. So
yes, somebody else said it for me.
I'll always be that person to say that, by the way. So, you know, so I had to take all the waves and like make it a point to be like, okay, just because I'm a woman doesn't mean that you can come over here and like steal my waves. But it's an interesting kind of space to be in, you know, trying to break through into these male dominated spaces. And I also just don't care. Like, say what you want. It's not going to affect me. You know, I'm doing my own thing. As long as you're not like being an a-hole, then we're good. You know, but it's been interesting. I still have dudes like slide in the DMs on my page and be like, you know, you really should be doing XYZ. And I'm just like, ugh, delete.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those are fun.
You should be wearing safety glasses. I'm like, this is a photo shoot. I'm not even actually doing anything.
Do you feel like the fact that you are a Filipino woman specifically plays any role in some of, I don't want to say resistance, but just some of your experience?
You know, I don't know that it necessarily has an effect on my experience in that way. In terms of like business and at the gym and things like that. In this area, we have a really big population of Filipinos, so it's, you know, like, it's not an uncommon sight for
locally
people.
It's
it hasn't really been a big thing, but I do find though that there is, I don't know, it's like how deep do you want to get, Katie?
We got time. We can go deep.
So I just think that in general, not just Filipinos, but Asians in general, especially Southeast Asians, you know, there's that whole model minority trope. And so you're supposed to just fall in the line and kind of be quiet and do what you're told. And that's kind of it, right? And that's Kitty. So being not only Asian, but also female, it's kind of like, oh, now you're the subservient type. You're, you know, your only role is to serve and to take care of other people and take care of their needs and to produce children. You know what I mean? It's like this weird, so in that sense, being kind of, I don't know, vocal or outspoken, or even just on social media, you know, I'm a queer woman as well. Kind of like still grappling what that means for me, because this is kind of like something new that I'm actually finally accepting. Kind of always known, you know, we always kind of know it's a spectrum, right? So kind of coming into my own in terms of that, but just being okay with being vocal and being seen and not just kind of like blending into the background has been a weird kind of thing. And
it makes, I mean, all of those things are a big intersectionality of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so unfortunately, that also tends to mean the target gets bigger. And so I think sometimes people don't understand that there can be a real level of fear there, in the sense of like bodily harm, or like, I mean, you know, sometimes, and I've had other women come on and talk about like the people who slide into DMs and stuff. There's, you know, sometimes legit threats of physical harm that people get. And
absolutely.
And that's not something that's like easily just pushed aside
under the rug.
Right. Yeah. So today's sponsor is Rasp and File Designs. Rasp and File was created to give new life to old things and create spaces that feel timeless, unique, and warm. Your home and business should be your sanctuary, a place of solace, and your personal piece of art. The owner and woodworker behind Rasp and File Designs is Lauren Matthews, and you can follow along and find out more information on Instagram. Just look up Rasp Filed Designs, or on the internet at rfdesigns.squarespace.com. I mean, I'm glad locally, you know, especially since you're a small business running a lot locally, like, it sounds like there's a lot of support there.
For the most part. I mean, I I mean, if you look at my social media accounts, you'll see that I am pretty vocal about other issues, social issues and things like that. So I really try to not just present myself in just this one-dimensional way online. What you're seeing, these captions that you're reading, I mean, if you read the caption, you can probably hear it in my voice. And I don't want to shy away from anything that's important. And I don't want to shy away from those kinds of issues, because this is part of what makes me me. And so if you want to support my business, that means you also want to support people of color. That means you also want to support people in the LGBTQIA plus community. That also means you want to support women. And so if you are on my page and if you're wanting to purchase from me, just know that that's where your money is going, is to somebody that is real, is authentic, and is concerned with these issues that everybody be concerned about. And I think I haven't met much resistance when it comes to that online. I also have a fairly small following, so it's like, you don't really get that many, I don't get that much attention just in the grand scheme of things for people to be like, oh, let me come into your DMs and kind of whatever.
Right.
But,
I mean, are you mainly on Instagram for social media, or do you cross over into, I would say, like, across all the social media platforms, personally, I've seen like Instagram is the nicest,
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if somebody were to disagree, or let's say like, discover more about you as you post, they're more likely, I think, if they don't prescribe to what you're sharing, they're more likely to just unfollow versus
absolutely,
versus to like verbally say, or to put a comment or whatever.
That's like Facebook, man. It's like you can't even put anything up without having like a shitstorm in the comments. I'm like, what? So I have a Facebook, but I'm not really on it as much. Instagram is usually where, because I'm like, hit that unfollow button, baby.
That's right.
Do me a favor.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. In fact, I made a decision shortly before the election in November. I still have a Facebook, but I took the app off of my phone because
smart.
I needed mental health well-being, and Facebook was not it.
I know.
But the other social medias, like, I mean, YouTube and even TikTok, unfortunately, people aren't as, I don't know. It's like, exactly. Just unfollow me. Just unfollow me. Or if you're not following me and you happen to see my content and you disagree with it, why are you taking exactly? Why are you taking the time to like spit out hate? Well, I just don't understand it.
Well, it's projection. They're just projecting. That's all it is. Yeah, it has nothing to do with you. It's all
that I know. Yes, that I know. Yeah. I will say, on what TikTok has taught me the most is there is something about a woman wielding a large power tool that makes men feel extremely insecure. I don't know what it is.
Oh yeah,
but it's just like, if I post
anything about a woman showing that she has any power whatsoever is what makes them insecure. That's what it is.
It's every time I have a chainsaw.
If a man can't use a saw.
I know. Every time I have a chainsaw is when I get the most like just total verbal things. And usually it's around like, sexual orientation type things. And usually I'll respond and just be like, well, duh. Like, I don't know who you think you're telling about my sexual orientation, but duh.
You're like, I know.
I'm aware. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. That's so funny.
So,
an insecure man. That's hilarious.
Yes. What, I mean, have you received any feedback in the sense of being a model of breaking through some barriers? Have you received feedback in the sense like of other women reaching out to you at all?
Yeah, I have, in person and online. When I meet people or talk to people, it's kind of funny. People will be like, oh my God, you're MadeMod. I'm like, oh, this is weird. I don't like attention at all. So like anybody recognizing me for like something that's, it's so awkward. So yeah, I mean, I've had people talk to me like, it's, it's so cool. You're such an inspiration to me. I want to get into doing more woodworking or something like that, or just being a business owner in general, or, having two businesses or having a Muay Thai gym. And so, yeah, I just, like I said before, I just really, the message that I want to get out there is that you can do it. Like, if you believe in yourself, if you have, I mean, obviously don't like jump into something if you're going to quit a job and it's going to be like unsafe. Like, don't do that. Like, be smart about it. But I just want to encourage people that if they want to do something, if they want to make, if they want to build a business, if they want to do something more with their life, then subscribe to whatever society is telling us that we need to do to succeed and to be happy. Then do that. Like, follow your, honestly, like, this is cheesy, but follow your heart, follow your dreams, follow your passions. Because if you wake up every morning and you're not excited to do what you're doing, then that's not it, baby. It's not it, you know? And so I have fortunately and graciously been contacted by people that are encouraging and supporting and inspired. And it's been really nice. And I feel a lot of that support and a lot of that admiration coming from my friends and family and local community too, which has been really nice. But again, I don't like attention. So, so I am just as likely to just work my ass off without any recognition, because I do it for me, and it's been really cool. And it's, I'm really happy that I can inspire literally just anyone, even if one person can see me and think that they can do it too. Then I'm like, I'm good. That's it for me, you know?
Yep.
Because nobody, I mean, I had no models to look up to, no role models, nobody that looked like me, nobody that sounded like me, nobody that had any of like similar life experiences. I had nothing of that. Even Disney princesses, I didn't even get a brown princess until what? Pocahontas?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if Mulan or Pocahontas came first.
Pocahontas came first for sure. But I'm like, and even then, yeah, she was a brown princess, but she wasn't my kind of brown. You know what I mean? And so it's been, things are getting better slowly, but if I can kind of help in any way, then I'm happy.
Yeah. Awesome. And I totally understand what you mean when like no attention, and especially in person. Like I've only had it happen a couple times in my community where someone's like, "Oh my God, you're Freeman Furnishings." I'm like, "Oh, weird."
Like, cue the pit sweat.
Yeah.
I feel that. I'm actually an introvert. I mean, sometimes it's hard to tell. It might be hard to tell now, but it's one-on-one. So that's why I'm like, I come alive. But yeah, I'm introverted as hell. So any kind of attention, I feel you on that. It's just like mortifying.
One of my favorite parts about being a maker is being able to go to the shop and be completely alone. Nobody.
I love that so much. It's so nice. It really is. Especially when COVID hit, like I could still work because it was just me.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. There was no restriction there whatsoever.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are actually like at the end of our time together, Kim.
It flew by.
It flew by. So I want to make sure, though, everybody knows how they can find you and follow along with you online.
Yeah. I mean, the best place to get in contact with me is on my Instagram account. That's at MadeMod, MadeMod_VB. And that's the best place to see what I'm doing, keep up with my things, chat with me if you want to. But you can shop online at Etsy. My shop is MadeModVB.
Awesome. Thanks so much for chatting with me today.
Thanks, Kate. This was fun.
It was super fun. All right. Again, that was Kim with MadeMod. You can find the links on how you can follow along with her in the description for today's episode. You can find that right in your podcast app or down below if you're watching this on YouTube. If you like today's episode and the past episodes as well, please remember to hit subscribe, like, comment, head on over to iTunes, leave a 5-star review. All of that helps the algorithms know that not only do you enjoy the podcast, but others like you may enjoy it as well. Remember, additionally, to follow along with the podcast over on Instagram. That's just at Maker Mom Podcast. And share with your friends about the favorite maker you have after listening to their episode. Head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/MakerMom Podcast. Check out joining the tribe over there. There's different tier levels that come with different merchandise like stickers, mugs, t-shirts, and all of the different levels come with access to additional content such as a live interview, which means if you're a patron, you get access to a Zoom link with one of my guests. You can hop on, listen while I'm doing that interview live, and then get a chance to ask your own questions at the end. So if you think that sounds pretty cool, go check that out. When I am not making podcast episodes and talking to amazing women and non-binary folks, you can find me designing and making furniture and home decor for bold homes at freemanfurnishings.com and at Freeman Furnishings pretty much across all the social media: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest. I am active on a daily basis, though, on Instagram and TikTok, so you can check out what I am currently working on those platforms, and come follow along with me at Freeman Furnishings. Say hi, say how you found me through the podcast. I love chatting with people who are listeners. And it's Wednesday. I hope you all are having a great week so far, and I will see you all on Friday.